Hey, this is Raptor, and welcome back to Pokemon Silver. So, here we arrive in Violet City, and what's Mr. Pokemon doing in the Pokemon Center? Silly dude. They're probably just here for the name, but hey. Wait, so here's some discussion about things from content. Fortunately, a young kid broke up Team Rocket, so I'm sure they'll never come up again, right? Can't do anything with kids. And that's Spread Tower. It has spell spread in it, it's great. So we'll go there, but first let's check out the gym and some other places which I hear have birds in them. Meanwhile, Pokemon may disobey you, that's slightly nominal, of course. They can sort of obey you without necessarily being obedient, anyway. Well, that's flattering. It's good that you're saying that about Senu. In what you did. So, is it just me, or does Geodude's description make it sound like they're this Pokemon that just absolutely hates trekking and hiking and so on? Like, they have a really firm hatred of it. It's really quite powerful. Meanwhile, ghosts are rumored to appear in Spartara, so I guess that we can begin with a place which is terrified of ghosts. This is probably a decent way of beginning a game, to be fair. This is Pokemon, you won't find any strong female figures here. No. Anyway, so this place. That female is a bit obsessed by some things. Don't trust the character sprites, they probably don't look like that. Anyway, there's a Pidgey, but let's not talk to it because it's a bit depressing. Talking about cynical. That's what cynical are called. They call that. Anyway. I mean, I guess if you really like cynicism, then there's always that. But hey, the space far off for you, really. So we won't be using all of these, but the Geodude is going to be sticking around suddenly. Are we good enough to face Faulkner? Honestly, we're just using this guy to run up levels and so on, so I don't know what they're up to, but hey. Anyway, let's say Spear. Okay, 9/11, that's great. You should totally use a fire Pokemon and use like no tackle or something. That'd be cool. Smokes, right? There. Look at their animation. I want to see how could this go wrong. Anyway, let's tackle them. So this is a sense in which that could be an issue, but let's keep going. Obviously, the cool thing about having a Geodude is that not only does it resist most of these moves, it also it can use a rock type move, for instance, has some moves which they would be weak to. So that would just about triple as this gem. Really due to a broken user. Okay, so there's one mess token. Honestly, this is a bit dull. Why can't we fight the red-headed one instead of this guy? Who just carries around a bird cage, and that's like the only identifying feature. It's great. Anyway. And there's actually a bird in it. It's a spear, so what's it doing in there? It's like you bring your, like, pet canary or whatever people have to a place, and then you have it fight, I don't know, a Meowth or a Persian. And it's sort of like, well, this was fairly straightforward. It's weird that this was too complicated for one Gary Oak. Anyway. So, what I'm getting from this is that this game isn't really a fan of the gym leaders. Does this mean that Cynical was the canonical choice? Presumably. Anyway, so here's a Pidgey. We should show no mercy. Far from the lights. Anyway. So let's just keep using tackle. That should bad for the mat. Anyway, so here's a Pidgey. Anyway, so in the interests of really making this into an interesting thing, here's a Pidgey versus Geodude thing. That really seems like the most practical way of going about these things. Obviously, you could call the Geodude underleveled, but that would be mean. It's Geodude. It's broken. So obviously, though, since we're discussing Pokemon with distinguishing abilities at this point in the game, it's worth noting that Pidgey, of course, has Sand Attack. It can learn Mud Slap. Both of these decrease accuracy. Decreased accuracy can be very useful, especially against Pokemon like Whitney's Miltank, for instance, or Bugsy Skyther, who, if they miss Super Malad or a Fury Cutter, are back to significantly less damaging moves. As such, you can generally pick things out with such. Anyway. So we already have a Pidgey. That's all that really keeps us from using a Pokeball here. Anyway. But this battle's over, so. Anyway, we just learned ember, so that just trivializes this gem, come to think of it. So, Jim trivialized anyway as the gym leader. In the interest of keeping some attention to this thing, let's just take them on now. They'll show you all the real power of the magnificent red Pokemon. You'll be learned. You should learn anyway. So if their accuracy is lowered significantly, say if we went in, then that would really negate their primary threats and so on, and probably make them fairly straightforward to take out sooner or later. Especially if you can poison them or curse them or something along those lines, which is all possible at that point in time. And there are, of course, Pokemon around that area which would complement that. So, one of the gimmicks with Faulkner, his Pokemon know Mudslap, that A can lower your accuracy, and B it's super effective against fire types, so that could be a problem if you have a Cyndaquil. Against Trico, for instance, they would generally be super effective anyway, and in brief, this gym can sort of cause issues for people actually, if they're going into things. Obviously, if you have a total, you may or may not have problems eventually, but it's sort of an interesting progression, really. At the same time, would things become more or less interesting with the profusion of water-type Pokemon later? Depends. Cyndaquil can hold their own pretty much through these situations, though. Anyway, a few embers should do it. While Pidgeotto, as you can see, is a bit of a threat, we should be able to take this one out, as indeed happens. So, Ember is fairly accurate, so you can count on it. So, with the new move, Ember, a fire-type move, with a small chance of inflicting a burn, which can actually be kind of useful in certain situations, but rarely. It should probably be useful because it's, of course, our first type move, and also probably more damaging move when tackled, mostly. So that sort of sets us up on the journey forward, and of course we have the Zephyr badge, which is very much a cool name, referring of course to the wind, but it's probably decent, so let's just stand around triumphantly. Interesting to note is that it does raise your attack, so that's always sort of an interesting mechanic. Is it that it just sort of looks in such a way as makes your Pokemon slightly sharper and more offensive? I don't know, anyway. I guess the actual badge, if it looks like anything, does look a bit like a Geodude. So, really, wherever you want to go with that, anyway. It also means some more Pokemon can advance if we were to catch to trade for the Onyx, as I've done elsewhere. Not was reported, then that might be useful, but honestly, it's really more fun when they aren't paying you. Just try it, you'll figure out. It's just an Onyx doing its own thing. It really is great, you know. You should experience it. You should all experience it. Anyway, see you.